こんにちは、私はアラン・メカジロさん。
こんにちは、私はマルタラニオ君。
こんにちは、私はソフィー・マラン君。
こんにちは、私はニル・シェブル・フトさん。
こんにちは、私はジャスリン・ダン君。
こんにちは、私はザック・ウィルソンさん。
Here's an outline of the presentation we have for you today. We'll start out with an overview of HISEAS mission goals. Then we'll take you through a typical day here on simulated Mars. This includes some of the EVAs, or extravehicular activities, and our personal research projects here. Finally, we'll show you inside our habitat and answer some of your questions. Keep in mind that these are just partial answers to your questions, and you could really write a whole dissertation to answer some of your great questions. So it's just the beginning of answering what could be a long journey in research and education for you on any of these topics. So please take this as the beginning and keep researching and reading. Hawaii Space Exploration and Analog Simulation is a series of NASA-funded missions that are operated by the University of Hawaii. The goal of these missions is to study the biological, psychological, and social impacts of being in isolation and confinement for the long duration of a Mars mission. The Mars habitat is located on the Big Island at about 8,000 feet elevation on Mauna Loa. Here there's a volcanic terrain that is very similar to what it would be like on Mars. We're surrounded by lava features and no animal or plant life. So it's a very still landscape that's never changing in this very remote area. Here you can see the habitat with Mauna Kea in the distance. We have a beautiful view, and we go out exploring this terrain with our geology's HISEAS. Our habitat runs on solar power primarily, and then we also have hydrogen backups and gas generators. We have a shelf-stable food supply, so canned food, freeze-dried food, dehydrated vegetables and meats. The other aspect of our mission is the communication, which mimics what it would be like to be the wide distance from Earth and Mars. All of our communications are delayed 20 minutes on the way there and the way back. Now that you've learned about our environment, let's talk about a typical day on Mars. What are we doing here? Well, it starts out first a lot like earthly life. We wake up between 7 to 9 a.m., have breakfast, coffee, check some emails, just get the day rolling. We also have morning surveys, and then after that we can start working on our personal research, or we can go out for EVAs. I'll talk more about the EVAs and research later. Then in the afternoon we have to start cooking because the sun is out and bright and producing enough energy to run our oven and other appliances that we need. After the cooking is finished, we'll typically have an afternoon workout together. And then after workouts we have dinner. All of us sit down together for dinner every night. And then afterwards sometimes we'll have a social activity or just go back to working on our personal research. And then of course before bed we have a couple more surveys to complete before the next day. One of our other responsibilities are our EVAs. These are in three main categories: the geology's HISEAS, our maintenance EVAs, and some for fun or outreach, and photography. With the geology tasks, they're assigned every 2 weeks, and they have a goal of exploring something around the volcanic terrain. Look at different features and hypothesize how they evolved and what kind of eruption resulted in its formation. The maintenance EVAs are often for checking our water levels or looking at our sensors and validating if those are working correctly. We also sometimes have to do installations or repairs and refill our generator from time to time. Photography or outreach EVAs can be the most fun. Recently I went out and hit the first golf ball on simulated Mars. The rest of the week we're really focused on research, so let's talk a bit about that. Commander Martha is working on a gardening project, so this is our only source of fresh food. She's growing a wide array of herbs and vegetables, all in artificial light. Sophie's our executive officer, so she works a lot on outreach projects, and they often involve robotics, her area of research. So she's also helped some of the other crewmates with getting data from Arduino sensors. We also rely a lot on Zach, as he's the 3D printing guru. He's also the chief engineer on the mission.
He's made replacement parts to fix and maintain different things around the hab. And he's also made some more fun, interesting things, such as the star upon our Christmas tree. Alan's an aerospace engineer. He's been working on modeling some astronomy events from the perspective of what it would look like on Mars. Neil's our chief medic and crew microbiologist. He's monitoring our water and also looking at our microbiomes, so how our microbial populations are changing based on our diet and our isolation and confinement here. And I'm the crew chief scientist. My research is looking at our health and stress states, how to manage them better, and how they change throughout the mission. Well, let's take a look inside, shall we? What's the band called?
Fake band on fake Mars.
Here I am standing in the Habitat Airlock. This is where we simulate decompression before we go out on EVAs. This is also where we store our spacesuits. We have 5 of these green hazmat suits, and then we also have the one white MXC suit, which is a bit better of a simulant than the green suits. This is also the brightest spot in the hab, so people will sit here on sunny days and read or work, enjoy the light. It's the one place we can grow plants without artificial light. Now we're going to head into the CCAN, which is the storage area and workshop. We're pretty much on our own in terms of repairing things, so this is where we work on stuff like that. We have the electrical system for the hab. We have 2 10 kilowatt hour lithium iron sulfate batteries, which provide all of our power. They get charged by the solar panels during the day, and then we can run off them at night. Then there's inverters and other systems to convert all the electricity to a form we can use. On the other wall, we have all our food. Some of this gets resupplied during the course of the mission, and some of it was the total supply for the 8 months. Up on the roof of the CCAN, the solar hot water heater, where we get all our hot water. So if it's been a cloudy day, we don't have any hot water.
Here we are at the upstairs of the hab. This is where our bedrooms and one of the bathrooms are. On our doors, I don't know if you can see, but we have our call signs that we call each other on our EVAs. So I'm going to show you the bedrooms. There's kind of 2 configurations we have made up for it. So this is Neil's room, and he's got the bed along here. And then it's pretty tiny, as you can see. We've got a small desk, small chair that also doubles as storage, and just the one shelf. We keep our laundry and clothes and stuff under our beds. And then I'll show you my room, which is the other configuration. So here is the other way we have our rooms, with the bed along the back, and yeah, my desk, small chair, shelf. And then next to me we have the upstairs bathroom. So yeah, these are the composting toilets. No water use. It does have like a heater and a fan, so all the fumes get exhausted out of the hab. The shower and everything is downstairs, so we'll take a look at that in a moment. Hi, here we are in the downstairs bathroom of the hab. We have another composting toilet. We have our shower, sink stuff. So we do have a bit of water restriction while we're here. All our water comes from a storage tank outside that periodically gets filled. But we want to be conservative. So right here you can see on the wall we've got our shower schedule, where we kind of track everyone's usage of the shower. We also have this other schedule down here. This is for the toilet maintenance. The composting toilets take a fair bit of maintenance, and we don't want to overload them, so whoever's first is in charge of rotating the drum of compost every week, and then we track when we have to like empty it out. This is our laundry area. We've got a washer and dryer. I don't tend to use the dryer because it uses a lot of electricity, which we don't have a lot of on many days, but people can use it if it's like a sunny day and we have extra power to burn, then you can use the dryer. And yeah, washing machine, everyone gets one load of laundry about every 1 to 2 weeks. And again, to spare water. So here we are in the telemetry room. So this is where all the connections to all the sensors around the hab are made, and then we can check on our computers like what the battery status is, what the water level is, what the temperature is, and control everything using UELA. We also have the computer for the NASA experiments that have the cameras around the hab that are watching us, so everything's backed up back in this room as well.
Here I am in the HISEAS kitchen. It's really the heart and soul of our mission, and it was one of the primary goals of the first mission. We bake in a toaster oven actually, which is a little different. Here you can see we make fresh bread ourselves since we only have shelf-stable ingredients. We cook on hot plates and induction plates. Zach has some gumbo going right now. We have a microwave, a rice cooker, and a mini fridge and mini freezer. We also make coffee in the mornings, and we use the kettle often for tea as well, and also to rehydrate our ingredients. So here, for example, is the green and red bell pepper. So they're just dried, diced pepper, and then we put hot water and soak them for a little while to rehydrate. A lot of vegetables here, then our flours for baking, and on this side we have like one of each of our meats. So we have sausage, beef, chicken, turkey, and even ham. And dairy products, so our milk, sour cream, and goat's milk powder, and then lots of sugar and some snacks. So we're pretty well stocked. We're definitely eating well here.
Welcome to our dining room. This is where we eat. We typically have a dinner here as a crew. As you can see, we have a table set up. As far as what we eat, we've had various dishes from different countries and cultures. For example, we've had Italian nights, we've had Japanese nights, Australian nights, Russian, Hungarian, pizza nights, sushi nights, you name it. We've pretty much covered a lot of stuff.
Do spicy tuna.
Besides dinners, we also make excellent desserts. We've had cakes, we've had brownies, we've had cookies, we've had flan, we've had cheesecakes, you name it. Again, we've done it all. We've done pies on Pie Day. And here we're looking at our cooking schedule. Since I mentioned we have dinner every night here, someone is responsible for that meal for the day. For each meal, we have a main chef here, a sous chef that'll be assisting that person, and 2 cleaners. And you know, it's very flexible. Sometimes we switch around if we need to, if someone's not feeling well and whatnot. But basically, this is a schedule that works for everyone, and it looks like we always have at least 1 day of leftovers.
Just like Alan said, this is not only the workout room, it's also the dining room, it's also the board game room. We exercise a lot as a group together, so we can fit all of our yoga mats down at the same time. We can all be working out, doing the same thing at the same time as well. And on sunny days, it's nice because you can get on the treadmill and, you know, you're kind of going for a walk, you can see outside, and it's kind of a pretty landscape. But when it's cloudy outside, we don't have any energy to spare on the treadmill, so we have to use a stationary bike. This is the largest room in the hab, and we use it to work, as you can see Martha and Zach over here. We have plants on our desks, and this is our fish blast-off rocket boots. This is my station where I do robotics and anything else that I happen to be working on at the time. This is Zach's 3D printer right here for some of his research, as well as modeling some game parts and things like that that are always useful. Here's Martha and Jocelyn's station, and then here we have kind of our print station. This is our unblocked computer for if we do need emergency contact that isn't delayed, we can go on that computer and that just has instant internet access. One of the things that our 3D printer has made, you've seen us all wearing our badges. They have to be charged every night. And these are some handy dandy little charging stations that our 3D printers have made us. The other thing we have is a telescope. So this is a project that Neil's been working on, doing some astrophotography.
So here we are in the HISEAS laboratory, and as you can see, it's pretty small, but we've got a lot of equipment in here that you would see in a normal lab. I do environmental monitoring of our water and our air quality here, and I do all my testing here in the lab. And Martha's actually got her garden here, her indoor garden, which is rocking and rolling. We have some LED lights on loan to us from Kennedy Space Center, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, we have fresh food every once in a while. We just had an actual tomato the other night for dinner, which was amazing, grown right here from seeds in Martha's indoor garden. So yeah, that's about all that's going on in here, but it's pretty awesome.
いらっしゃいませ。私の進出。Well, my question was about the time frame. This time frame for our mission is 8 months. It's actually longer than the previous missions, which were 4 months, and it's shorter than the next mission, which will be 12 months. And 8 months is actually approximately the same time that it takes for us to fly from Earth to Mars with our current technology. So the actual time is about 8.5 months, but 8 months is very close. So this time frame is a very good comparison to how we would be in a spaceship flying towards Mars, or from Mars back to Earth. So overall, we're doing quite well, and we're happy with this time frame. And you know, the mission support and mission controllers, they had a say into which people are going to go on which missions, and we were chosen for this 8-month mission.
The application process began with submitting our resumes and some short essays about why we were interested in joining the project. The selection committee then selected a small group of candidates, and we took a personality test to try to determine if our personality was a good fit within the crew and just sort of what kind of person we were in general. After that, we had phone interviews, and then once they had the final 8 candidates selected, they sent all of us on a camping trip together, where we had to work together to make camp and figure out where we were going, and generally just spend a lot of time interacting with each other to see how we'd get along in a sort of stressful environment, which in some ways is kind of similar to living in the dome. So we all joined this project either because we're interested in space or would like to be astronauts, or both. It's also been a good opportunity to pursue research of our own interest. We have time here to work on our own projects as well as the group projects that we're part of.
Alright, so you guys asked us about the advantages and disadvantages of being in this mission. So the advantages are, a lot of them very social. So as you can see by where I am, we have a lot of movies and board games around, and those really help us interact socially together. So that you're always kind of with someone when you're playing a game, and we all like to get together for movies and really just hang out as a group. So the social interactions are very advantageous being in this close of a confinement. Other advantages are the fact that we get to work on our own research projects, and also that as a group, what we're doing right now is expanding the knowledge base for future manned missions into space. Because as we go farther and farther out, it's going to take us longer to get there. Another advantage of being in such a close social situation is that there's lots of added motivation from the people around you to do things that maybe sometimes you don't always want to do. Like, for example, working out. We work out almost every single day here. And sometimes it's resistance band training, and other times it's things like yoga. But we all like to get together as a group and do these things together because being in a larger group when you're working out just has more motivation for everyone. Some of the disadvantages to being in this situation are that sometimes it's very hard to feel like you have any privacy. From just about anywhere in the dome, you can be heard if you speak in a normal voice. So that makes it kind of hard when, let's say you're an early riser and maybe other members of the crew aren't. You have to be quiet when other people are sleeping because they can hear pretty much anything that you do. And it's just the same for being up late at night. So if you like to stay up late at night and watch movies, you have to wear headphones, and you have to make sure that you don't laugh too loud at the funny parts in your movie because everyone's going to be able to hear it from basically anywhere in the dome. Some other disadvantages are kind of losing touch with the real world. So if you don't try really hard to keep up on current events and things like that, it's very easy to be left behind in your understanding of what's going on outside on Earth. Some other disadvantages would be the food, which is maybe not a disadvantage but a challenge. The food is all freeze-dried, and it's difficult to work with when you're not used to it. So at the beginning of the mission, we had a lot of difficulty kind of figuring out how much we need to rehydrate things, how much we need to cook things, and just how to make things taste good. So the first month was a little bit of a trial in that, but we ended up becoming really good chefs, and we have amazing meals here in space. So I guess that's an advantage and a disadvantage.
As you can see, we've added some Japanese characters. I'll try to pronounce Otearai. Come on in. So here is one of our bathrooms. We have two bathrooms. This is the downstairs one, and it has our shower here, so pretty standard. We do have to make sure that we don't use too much water since we're very limited on the amount of water we have. So we have a timer here that helps us keep track of how many seconds and minutes we spend in the shower each time we take a shower, which is usually about 2 or 3 times a week. And then just a standard sink. And here's the toilet, what you guys asked about. So we have composting toilets, and with these there's no water usage at all. So it just has some soil mix that you can see here. And then, so we just add scoops of soil after we use the bathroom. And then about once or twice a week, we have to rotate the compost in here. So we just give it like 6 revolutions, and this keeps it from coming to the top and rotates the soil in with our waste. And then it has bacteria that processes it, and it doesn't smell bad or anything because the bacteria are eating the waste as it goes. And you can probably hear the fan, so there's a fan that's exhausting all of the fumes that would be here out of the habitat. So that's how we use the bathroom here, is with our composting toilet. And it's really not too bad, just don't look down inside.
So do our pets need spacesuits in space? So Black Stuff doesn't really need a spacesuit because he's already encased in water, and it's kind of already like his spacesuit. It's kind of like he needs a spacesuit just to be on land. He always needs to be in his natural environment, which is water, so he gets carried around in water everywhere. Humans, we kind of need, spacesuits are like our fish tanks. We always need to be in air. So whenever we go out into space, or if we went scuba diving underwater, we need air around us, or at least that gets into our lungs. So that's what we need. I really wanted to bring chickens to Mars because I think, explorers take chickens, you get really good food from it, they can eat your waste food. So I would think that would be a nice symbiotic relationship as well. We haven't really worked up to chickens yet, but then chickens would also need spacesuits more like humans because they would also need air all around them all the time.
So why do we need spacesuits on Mars? Well, for one thing, they're cool.
but realistically we need them for maintaining our body pressure, we need it to maintain a proper temperature, and finally we need it because the air on Mars, and air is what makes up the atmosphere, is actually toxic to humans. Here on Earth, we have many different things that help our entire planet breathe. We have vegetation, we have water, and we have volcanoes. All of these different things contribute to what makes up our atmosphere. And because we have so much going on our planet, we end up getting a lot of different molecules, which makes us have a very thick atmosphere. Mars, on the other hand, has many wide plains, craters, mountains, and even Olympus Mons, which is actually a dead volcano. Because it doesn't have any vegetation or water or live volcanoes, its atmosphere is very thin and isn't really replenished by the planet. Because of this, the atmosphere is much less dense than Earth's. Because Earth is much larger than Mars, it has more gravity, which helps keep more of the particles in our atmosphere closer to the Earth so that we can have them to breathe. Another thing Earth has that Mars doesn't is a magnetic field. This magnetic field protects the Earth's atmosphere from being stripped away by the solar wind. On Mars, because they don't have a magnetic field, some of the particles can get stripped away, and this leaves the atmosphere thinner than it would have been otherwise. So if you're a person standing on the Earth, and this is the area you have around you, you're going to have more atmosphere within that square than the same person would standing on Mars. If you could see the atmosphere around you when you stood on Earth, this is kind of what it would look like. These green dots are nitrogen, and they make up about 79% of the air, so there's quite a few of them around you. The next most common element is oxygen, which is what we primarily use to breathe. It only is in about 20% of the air in the atmosphere though, which means that for every 4 of these little green dots, we get 1 dot of oxygen. The rest of the elements in the atmosphere are less than 1%. There's some argon, which will be these tiny purple dots, and then there's also some CO2. This is carbon dioxide, and it's actually very dangerous for humans to breathe. So let's say that I just made 1,000 dots, and that all of those little dots are what makes up 100% of the atmosphere here on Earth. Over on Mars, their atmosphere is only 0.6% what it is on Earth. And what that means is that even though I got to have 1,000 dots on the Earth picture, I only get to have 6 dots on the Mars picture. So I'm going to make these dots a little bit bigger. About 96% of the atmosphere on Mars is CO2. Now remember, this was the dangerous element in Earth's atmosphere, but in very small amounts. On Mars's atmosphere, it actually takes up about 5.5 of the 6 dots that we have to work with. So now we have less than 0.5 dot to parcel out to all the other different elements in the atmosphere. 2% is going to go to argon, so that's going to be this little wedge here. About 2% is going to go to nitrogen, and that's this little green wedge over here. And less than 0.1% is going to be oxygen. With such little good breathable air around, this little guy is not going to be very happy. But we can help him out. We can give him a spacesuit helmet, and in that helmet we can fill it with all of the good things that make up Earth's atmosphere. That way it'll be just like he's back home breathing Earth air. Another thing you need a spacesuit for is proper pressurization of your body. When you're on Earth, this great big dense atmosphere pushes down on you from all angles at an even pressure. Your body has learned to push back on that atmosphere with the same pressure so that it actually cancels out, and you don't even notice it. When you go to Mars, your body doesn't know that it's not on Earth anymore. And because Mars's atmosphere doesn't push as hard as Earth's does, your body actually ends up expanding. And you end up looking something like a marshmallow man if you don't have a spacesuit on. That's why astronauts wear big spacesuits when they're on other planets or in space. Because the same atmosphere that's in the helmet gets put into the body, and it ends up pushing down on you all around, just like Earth's atmosphere does. Finally, a spacesuit needs to keep an astronaut warm. Here on Earth, all of the particles we have in our atmosphere are constantly moving around, and this makes heat. Right now in Hawaii, it's about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. On Mars, because there aren't many particles around, all of the heat gets lost almost as soon as it's made. So inside every astronaut's suit, they have heaters. On Mars, the average temperature is about negative 81 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's really cold. And I don't know about you, but I'm definitely a lot happier when I'm warm. And there are all of the reasons that you have for why people need spacesuits when they go into space or to other planets like Mars. Here at HISEAS, we use spacesuits because we're pretending that we're on Mars. So even though we can take off our helmets when we go outside, we like to pretend that we can't. And that way we get to know what it's like to be real astronauts on another planet.
Alright, so can we have pets in the dome? So yes, we can kind of have pets in the dome, and we actually do have a pet in the dome. So I'd like to introduce you to Blastoff McRocket Boots, our Kase Sakana. So he's a pet, but he's also functional here. So you can see in here, this is his tank, and on top we have some plants growing. So this is a kind of gardening called aquaponics. And the fish and the plants are kind of in a symbiotic relationship, and they help each other grow. So Blastoff is our pet, but he's also doing gardening work here on Mars.
So you asked about if we could adapt or evolve on Mars. We definitely would have to adapt. Here at HISEAS, we're practicing some of the adaptations that we have in our lifestyle to be able to live in a sustainable way. On Mars, you'll only have certain resources available to you, mainly those that you bring along with you. And then you'll have to keep recycling and reusing the air, food, water that you bring with you to Mars. So in this way, we will definitely have to adapt to be able to live and work on Mars for any extended period of time. As far as evolving, this would take generations upon generations for us to be able to actually evolve in the normal genetic sense. However, we might be able to evolve different microorganisms so we can develop organisms that can help us to process our waste, filter our water, or even help produce energy for us.
So as the crew's medical officer, I'm actually responsible to take care of any bumps or bruises or any accidents that happen to the crew. My medical training came from the United States Army, so I was a medic in the Army, and I bring that experience here. Now, if someone gets hurt really badly, we can always call emergency services and bring an ambulance up here and take someone to the hospital. Unfortunately, on Mars, there are no hospitals, so we would actually have to bring a physician along. I'm not a physician, I'm not a doctor, so if a crew member gets hurt badly, we have to get the crew member to a doctor. Now, on Mars there are no hospitals, so we have to bring the doctor with us. So on a mission to Mars, there will be an actual doctor, but for us here at HISEAS, I'll take care of that.
すみません、私の日本語とても悪いですが、私は日本語と日本人大好きです。私、小さい歌があります。子豚、たぬき、きつね、猫、ブブブ、ポンポコポン、ほんほん、にゃお。さよなら。